You're live.
Oh, like champagne glasses.
You're live.
No.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Greg Gordon.
Here.
Steve Barthol.
Here.
Susan Snyder.
Here.
Steve Carter.
Present.
Michael George.
Here.
Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the minutes from October 14th regular meeting?
Make a motion to approve the minutes. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Greetings to the board, staff, visitors, and citizens of Sunrise Beach. We will have a couple guest speakers tonight, so I will try to be more brief. I would like the board to discuss the creation of the Safe City program. This program will be similar to the beautification awards that other cities have, but it will be focused on the verbiage of our nuisance ordinances affecting the health and well-being of our citizens. I've given you all copies of that. Ordinance 215020 and 217020, which we discussed and voted on last year, mainly because of the comments coming from the citizens of the village about trash or other unsightly junk in and around the businesses and residents. We assured people at that time we were not going to go on a hunt to enforce this ordinance because they were concerned about that. However, if we receive a complaint, we would take action. And we have several, right, Scott?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Since our last board meeting resulted in a push for enforcement, I will recommend that the board discusses our next step by using something similar to this Safe City program. It will just be something where we'll give an award for somebody that cleans up a business that has trash or whatever on it. I'd like you to kind of look over the ordinances and come up with some ideas. I believe I emailed this to you, everybody, right? Okay. So that's what that's all about. On another subject, we've invited our attorney to discuss an ongoing issue about board qualifications and the responsibility, if any, the board or the city clerk have during election filing of candidates. We welcome his comments to perhaps explain well enough to end the continued questions to the board. I believe this board has been completely transparent and have always strived to do everything in our power to show our citizens that we follow all the statutes, that we care about the village, and have worked diligently to improve as much as we can in the past 3.5 years. We've listened, we respect, and we move as quickly as possible to make this village the best place to live on the west side. As always, we welcome the feedback from our citizens. And he's not here, so. Do you hear from him? No? Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about the Safe City program. You've seen other cities have this where somebody will get a sign in the front of their yard saying, oh, they got the award for the month of October or something like that. This is just an idea, and I just pulled it off the internet. But I thought that what it would do is focus on, I would like to have like the citizens know about it, maybe put it in our newsletter and say, if you see a business that looks like they're cleaning up things or their yard or their business or whatever, that person or business would be awarded a sign in the front of their building that says, you've won the Safe City Award for the month of October or something like that. Anybody have any ideas about how we might do that or how we can? I suggested that we have like volunteer residents that would like to be on a committee to pick 3 businesses and 5 residents each month. Anybody?
Bueller.
Anybody care? Should I move on to the next subject? Is this too boring? I mean, what do you think? What do you think?
It would be good to have a citizen panel
That's, yes,
to, you know.
yeah. And that's,
As far as getting volunteers from citizens to do that, I think that's probably gonna be
yeah,
either hard to do or
right.
somebody may pick up on it. And I guess it would depend on how many people you want on the panel also. Do you want 3 people, 5 people?
I don't know. I mean, I'm just throwing it out there. In my idea, we're still not going to actively go after people. We're going to hope that people will take notice that we're having some kind of a program and maybe
Right.
do it themselves and we won't have
Gotta
to.
put planning and zoning on it.
Well, those are volunteers too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if they wanted to be on it, that'd be fine, but
Yeah, if you wanted a
How much
planning and
time?
zoning member on there, I could do it.
now,
I mean, it's just a matter of probably taking a day, a month or something, 3 or 4 hours and drive around.
I mean, we could
And
start
take
this
notice
like
of-
next year or something.
Right.
But it's just a way to maybe try to incentivize people to clean stuff up.
Maybe make a list of, between now and the first of the year, of businesses that probably could get cleaned up. And maybe an incentive every quarter. Every quarter of the year, you say, this business gets the sign in front, it says, first quarter 2026 beautification
Mhm.
award.
Yeah.
For helping the community. Believe me, there's plenty. Just go down to Highway 5, and there's plenty that could mow the grass.
Well, there is, I mean, we would have to inform them that,
Right,
we'd like to see you win this award.
yes,
Yeah, and I think it would be more so if it was a member of like the planning and zoning board, you could introduce yourself as such and say, you know, what we're interested in doing is looking for a business that we think can win this award by making a few improvements, you know. Instead of trying to go after it, you know, like, hey,
Afterwards.
yeah.
What, when does our newsletter come out?
So either before Thanksgiving or a little bit later.
Maybe
Thanksgiving.
we can put
Put it
an
in the
article in there that suggests that we're going to start doing that and we'd like volunteers, see if anybody does step up. Otherwise, we can bring it up at the next P and Z meeting. But, I mean, are you all for it?
I like it.
No? Okay.
I would suggest, maybe someone like Steve, since he's on planning and zoning, to be kind of the ramrod, but to try to find people that can't be on planning and zoning because of timing,
Mhm.
and have them join us in a peripheral type situation where they can help the city, but they can't be there on Mondays or whatever. You know, like
Yeah.
Gavin Pitts, my wife's here,
Mhm.
Vicky.
Mhm.
She wants to be on planning and zoning for 3 years, but she won't give up her golf on Monday night.
Yeah, she was on planning and zoning
Was she?
for 3 months and didn't show up, so she
Oh.
wasn't on planning and zoning.
Yeah.
So, yes,
Lip service.
just the way it is.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll take it a little bit further. Maybe, Aaron, you can help out with that, and try to come up with some ideas of how we can approach it, how we can, do something and, it's just an idea to try to get something going on this, cleaning up the city. Nathan, good to have you.
All right, Lee.
I would like to ask a question that's been on the minds of everybody in the city forever, and have you answer it.
I think I just bored naturally. Well, that wasn't the question. I thought that
No,
was.
that's the
Just assumed
question.
that was the question.
We have, been asked several times about the qualifications of someone being on the board,
Okay, this board.
this board, and we have a board member that has a home in the city and one out of the city. And The question is it the board or the clerk's responsibility to see where that person sleeps at night?
Okay, so residence is a spongy thing in Missouri. That's really the best way that I can describe it. There's all kinds of cases in Missouri, and basically they all come down to one point, which is your residence is where you say your residence is, especially if you have two properties like that. Now, if you say your residence is a post office box, which I see that all the time, well, that can't be, you can't live in a post office box, so that's obviously not true. But beyond that, generally the courts have said, if you say a place is your residence and you've treated it like your residence, whether you actually sleep there or not, the court's not that concerned with. So I kind of like to give the example, this may be dating me a little bit, but you remember they always were saying that one of the Bushes, I guess maybe George the First, was his residence in Texas was just a hotel room or something like that. You see cases, like that. You see cases like that, in Missouri. I've seen, cases, there's a case in the courts where the residence was just a drugstore, but the guy did get his mail at that drugstore. Of course, the famous case, was the one down in Branson where the guy claimed he had a hotel room. And that was where he lived. And they actually did investigate that. They went in and they didn't really find any clothing or anything in that hotel room. But the court said, hey, if that's where he says he lives, that's where he lives.
That was a long case. I read the whole thing.
Yes. So, ultimately, in terms of elections, I want to make this really clear because this comes up mostly during elections. It is not the responsibility of the city clerk to determine whether somebody is a resident. Okay? If they sign the form and say they're a resident, she is to pass that on to the county. The county clerk is the one who makes that during elections, although most of the time they just don't. Once somebody's seated, then it's this board's duty to decide whether or not the person is still eligible to hold their office. And if the board feels that the person isn't eligible to hold their office anymore because they've moved out of town and the person won't resign, then you would have to impeach them to have them removed.
Okay, questions, anybody for Nathan before we move on, or?
So does the state doesn't have a steadfast rule on residency?
No, you'd think they would,
Like you must live there so many days. Some states do.
has to be the place on your driver's license.
Right.
Yeah, there's 1,000 ways you could do it, and Missouri has chosen to do none of those. And so, as I said at the beginning, it's just a spongy kind of thing. Your residence is kind of where you say your residence is. So there's even cases where people have moved out of town, but since they had an intent to return to town, before their term was over, the court said, well, they're still a resident.
Well, wouldn't voting records, driver's license, passports, that kind of stuff determine your residence or not?
Well, they're all evidence, but they're not determinative.
Okay.
Honestly, my recommendation would be, not to go to court on that issue, unless you had something really, really compelling. Now, like if somebody moves out of town and they no longer have a place in town, well, they're no longer a resident, and actually they have forfeited their office the minute they moved out. If someplace, the example that you're talking about, I don't know really who she's talking about, so I'm impartial, I guess. In that case, if you say this place is my residence, that's enough. I have in Knob Noster, if you ever drive through there's a little ice cream shop right on the highway, and I had a guy who was mayor. He claimed that's where he lived. I don't think he did, but that's where he said, and that's that.
And I don't understand what you mean by it's up to the board to decide. If it's not the board that's supposed to decide during the election, why would it be up to us to decide? Are we supposed to go look in windows?
You're not. You have no duty to do that, but it is your, if someone needs to be removed from the board for whatever reason, they've been convicted of a felony or they, moved out of town, that then falls on the board. But that process is impeachment if the person won't voluntarily go. That's the way you remove somebody. And impeachment, not easy. Not easy. Nor cheap.
Or cheap, and that's the word.
Basically, if you own more than one residence and one of them happens to be within the city limits,
And you say that's the one.
then that's it.
Now, if you just own a field, right,
Well, yes,
then that wouldn't be enough.
but if showing due diligence that you look it up on a map and there's a structure,
There's a structure there, yeah. That would be the ice cream park.
that would be very hard to impeach somebody with that.
It would.
Almost impossible.
Well, so,
Nothing's impossible in law, I understand.
well, so impeachment is a funny thing. I mean, impeachment just requires a majority of the board to vote for it. Question is, will that impeachment stand up to a court review? Probably not.
Answered my questions.
Anybody else?
Exactly what I thought it was.
It's just a statement of right or wrong.
Okay, so does anyone have any visitors' comments? Dean? Fred? No?
No, I'm good this
No.
month.
I
I just wanted to ask, about the residency thing. So basically, you don't even have to really live here. What you're saying is, as long as you have a residence here, and you're saying that is where you live, I could spend 364 days somewhere else and just come here for meetings, and that still qualifies me to hold an office here.
Yeah, the original case on that was, I think, Danforth, remember, he was
I do.
a senator, and so they said, well, he doesn't really live in the state, and he didn't get a teaching job somewhere else, but he had a residence here, and he said, that's where I live, and the court said, that's enough. So, I mean, I know it's kind of shocking and kind of not what everyone wants to hear, but that's the state of the law.
If that's what it is, it's what it is. And I just wanted to follow up with Mr. George had brought up something at the last meeting about, people were telling you they called in to make complaints about a variety of things. Did you ever get that resolved?
I know particularly two of the individuals went around taking pictures of things that they'd called in about and had sent emails about. And I saw some of the emails. So I'm just not it's not worth pressing an issue.
I would just, but you're
but I do
satisfied
know-
with what you found out?
I am very
Okay,
satisfied. And I think what I said was true.
That's it.
Okay, Kelly Beats with Murma.
Thank you. You guys are new to our association. MIRMA is an acronym for Missouri Intergovernmental Risk Management Association, so that's a lot. So we just use the acronym MIRMA. I think Steve may know better than me. I think we started in 1982, some early 80s.
Something like that.
I was, yeah, long time ago. And we've only just worked with cities and municipalities, no counties, no schools, just public entities as far as cities and utilities go. And throughout the years of history, we've been able to identify areas where we have greater losses or greater risks. And they keep popping up. And so we developed a risk grant program to address those areas where losses or those risks keep reoccurring. And that's why I'm here. I don't know if Steve or Eric, I don't know who applied for the risk grant, but I've got a couple items I'm going to list off. The first one, well, this would be police. It's a car camera. We're giving back 75% of the cost of the car camera, $1,555. It's a great liability tool. It's amazing how often the camera tells the story better than what someone else says. Yeah. And then we have some MUTCD signage. We're paying back 75% of the cost of that. That's $2,000. It's a great tool. We've lost some lives in Murma, and a majority of them have been people working along the side of the road. We also have some street barricades, MUTCD barricades. The MUTCD is kind of a federal guideline for roads and streets. Like when you're out on the federal highways and you see the traffic cones, and they have to play by a certain set of rules, and that's the MUTCD guidelines. So these items comply with that standard as far as reflectivity and height and all that stuff. So we're funding back on the barricades, 75%, $1,313. And some last item, truck beacon lights, just general safety on the truck to let in low light conditions, let public know where our guys are at. We're paying back 75% of the cost of that, which is $76. So I don't have a check. I don't know if everything's been bought yet, but I've made a nice plaque. It's just under $5,000, $4,945. And I give out these awards every year. A couple weeks ago, I started this process. I was in a town down south, and they said they had an employee. Last year, we gave them like $300 for chainsaw chaps. And a couple days before, chainsaw got into his chaps, ruined the chaps, but saved his leg or any injury. He had no injury and walked away. So $4,000, $5,000 could potentially save a leg or a life or a much larger claim. So kudos for participating and being proactive in the program. I think it's great. This is all I've got for you.
Well, thank
Going to
you.
give this.
Glad to hear it.
Yeah,
Glad to hear
Aaron really took it on in public works, Andy, and I mean, I had a little bit of involvement, but really it was more the staff. So thank you.
It's, like I said, we can't ever put our finger on when it prevents a claim. But I know that those car cameras have saved us. You probably know that stuff too. And safety chaps and some of the barricades. And we can just prevent one a year that more than pay for itself. So.
it.
Thank you.
Thanks for letting me. Thanks, sir.
Good to see you, Kelly.
Drive safe.
Okay, moving right along. Looks like we have a first and second reading on 2025-18. Aaron?
Bill number 2025-18, an ordinance amending the city code by adding 2 new sections regarding payment of sales tax as a condition of receiving a business license. First reading.
Motion.
Motion that we accept the first reading.
Second.
All in
All in
favor?
favor? Aye.
Motion for second reading.
Make motion second reading.
Anyone for a second?
I'll second.
Bill number 2025-18, an ordinance amending the city code by adding 2 new sections regarding payment of sales tax as a condition of receiving a business license. Second reading, roll call vote. Greg Gordon,
Yes.
Steve Barthol,
Yes.
Susan Snyder,
Yes.
Steve Carter,
Yes.
Michael George.
Yes.
Go ahead with the next one. It's only first reading.
First reading. No? Okay. Bill number 2025-19, an ordinance adopting the Village of Sunrise Beach budget for the 2026 fiscal year, thereby adopting the schedules of revenues and expenditures for each fund and capital outlay, debt service, and employee pay and benefits together as contained therein. First reading. Greg Gordon.
Yeah.
Anybody for a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Resolution 2025-17, a resolution of the Village of Sunrise Beach, Missouri, endorsing the 2025 comprehensive plan. Okay, great. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
One second. Okay. Resolution 2025-18, a resolution approving an agreement with the Miles CPA and Associates LLC for professional services relating to preparation of fiscal year 2025 audited financial statements, federal single audit, if necessary, and other related services for the Village of Sunrise Beach, Missouri. Motion approved. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And then resolution 2025-19, a resolution authorizing the chairman of the Board of Trustees to enter into an agreement with the CAM Archer Group PC DBA Archer Elgin for financing through the State of Missouri Clean Water and Drinking Water State Revolving Fund Program.
Motion passed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay. Chief, would you like to tell us a little bit about the public safety tax?
Yeah, so in August of last year, many of you guys know that I began working with Senator Bernstetter to secure an amendment that would allow the village to seek voter approval for a 1/2 cent sales tax dedicated to public safety. Earlier this year, this measure successfully passed through both Senate and the House of Representatives, along with similar requests from other municipalities. Since that time, the city manager and I have had several in-depth discussions about how to continue building our police department to meet both current community needs and expectations, as well as the demands of future growth. We both agree that asking voters to support this sales tax is not only the most viable path forward, but a necessary one. The proposed sales tax would fund an additional 2 to 3 officers, closing existing gaps in coverage and ensuring that we have at least 2 officers on duty during peak times. It would also allow for a new facility providing essential workspaces for officers, secure interview rooms for both suspects and victims, and shower facility for use when officers are exposed to hazardous or biological materials, none of those which we currently have. This investment is critical to improving officer response times, ensuring safer streets, and enhancing the level of service our community deserves. With the village limits expanding and traffic volumes increasing at unprecedented rates, the department must continue to grow in order to maintain effective public safety coverage. Many surrounding governments have already adopted similar funding measures to meet their needs, and I believe it's time for Sunrise Beach to do the same. As always, we will remain mindful to fiscal responsibility. A dedicated funding source would ensure we have properly equipped and trained officers available when needed. Numerous citizens have asked why the village does not already have a dedicated sales tax for the police department, and multiple business owners have voiced their support, recognizing the importance of a strong, visible, and fully staffed police presence. I'm respectfully requesting that the board consider placing this measure on the April ballot for voter consideration. The need is clear, the support is present, and the opportunity is before us. I'd be happy to answer any questions or provide any additional information the board may need. I'd like to thank you guys for your continued support and partnership, ensuring the safety of Sunrise Beach. Also with this in your packets, I added what would look like a proposed FAQ page, essentially for the tax that we would kind of put out or could put out. It gives an idea of what the tax would generate and how those funds would be used and why those funds are necessary.
Brings us up to 8.725 on our sales tax here. You know, it's hard to ever ask for money on a ballot, although there are departments, like the fire department, that ask every election. So,
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Do you have what's the most recent MoDOT traffic count for 5?
They don't have real accurate counts. The last I heard from Danny Rager was this year they expected it to be 13 to 15 yearly daily average. So that's your daily average for all year. In the summertime, obviously that number is going to be significantly higher.
Yes. Do you track traffic crashes?
Yes, we're up by 27%.
Okay, so since when?
This time last year. So this time, the difference between January to this time and January last year to this time, we are up 26.97%. I think I believe I put it in the board. I think that may have been a topic even. So crash numbers continue to be of high concern, with this year's data showing a 26.92% increase compared to the same period last year. I believe this trend is directly related to the significant increase in traffic flow through the area. We will remain committed to enforce hazardous moving violations and maintaining driver education efforts to make our roadways safe as possible.
Do you have, do you keep track of causation for traffic crashes?
So we do have the ability with the way we do the Missouri crash reporting, we can filter them by causes. Most of our crashes get labeled as a following too close because they're rear end collisions. Because it's impossible. It's like to try to figure out, did they rear end them because they were following them too close, or did they rear end them because they were speeding, or was it a fail to indicate?
Would it be better to do like a geographical? Identify the particular areas where
That was
we're
my
having
next,
more
that's
traffic.
Yeah.
where I was going next. Do we have a topographical or some kind of a map?
So we don't have a map, but it does lay out our high crash volume areas. So like F and TT intersection is a high crash volume area. 5 in Deer Valley, typically last year, 5 in Deer Valley was our #1 crash location.
I think FNTT needs to be re-engineered.
Yes. So this year we're seeing F and TT as our highest crash. And that's a testament to how much more traffic we're seeing on TT to F to 5.
Well, FNTT should be a right angle turn instead of a 45-degree turn.
And I've had discussions with MoDOT and sat down with them on what we can do there. MoDOT would like to put a roundabout there if the city would support it. It comes down to funding with all things. There's a paving,
Just have enough 90-degree.
Right.
Then you can look to the left instead of trying to look over your.
the reason they don't like the 90-degree turn there is the amount of traffic, bringing it to a complete stop. Their MoDOT's goal is to have flow freely onto TT and TT flow freely onto F. They looked at making Highway F a T turn or a T intersection right behind Stevens Furniture, but that's a very blind corner spot that would result in a lot of crashes. So that's really kind of where they looked at the roundabout. There's a paving project that's going to come up in, I think it's 27. We're going to look at seeing low cost impacts that MoDOT can do, maybe adding some rumble strips on TT to alert people that there's something changing, that there's a stop sign ahead.
Seems like a stop sign coming from F would be more advantageous than the one that when you're coming around, you have to stop. The stop sign should be the other way because they have clear view of the traffic coming.
Yeah, they have a pretty clear view. And part of the problem with that is the way the roads are banked. So Highway F being the historical highway that went through Sunrise Beach to the ferry, it's banked in such a way that to go in and change that banking would be very costly. So they're essentially saying, hey, chief, we're going to help you out with putting some stuff in play and see how things play out. I think they're still getting a overall plan on how they want to navigate that 242 from Lake Ozark to Highway 5.
And Danny Roger at the last Council of Government meeting, he said that traffic, because when the toll bridge opened, was like 3 times what it had been.
Yes.
So that's significant, if you ask me.
Well, if you increase traffic volume, you're going to increase crashes. They go hand in hand.
And with our increase in traffic, I'm very proud of my guys for keeping the crash numbers to 27%, essentially. I mean, earlier in the year, we were tracking a 75% increase, and I was really starting to get worried about that. But they kind of buckled down on some. Nobody likes doing highway safety enforcement. I mean, we don't want to stop cars. People don't want us to stop them, but unfortunately, that's how you stop crashes.
Can we get this map that you say you have that shows just general areas?
So it doesn't give me a map. It gives me a list.
Okay.
But yeah, I'd be happy to print off the high crash map areas, and I can even sit down with you and show you how to access it.
When you start getting increases like that due to increased traffic, which we all knew was coming, sometimes there's grants when you show them this type of increase. There's more traffic grants that will help buy back an officer for traffic enforcement.
Historically, MoDOT's done those, but they've gotten away from them. They're not doing them the way they used to. It's rare for counties are able to get them but it's rare. Camden County struggled to get one. They finally have one for their DWI enforcement. So that trust me, it's something I've looked at and been in
Being a victim
discussion.
of a traffic crash on Highway 5
Yeah,
myself,
yeah.
pretty substantial one. I would like to see a turn lane down all of Highway 5, but I know that's about impossible to have done right now.
Come out all the way to the bridge.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it at the bridge, all the way to Lori. And anywhere there isn't a center, because the center turn lane would have saved my wife and
By
I.
Captain Ron's and CG's Mini Mart,
Mhm.
that's bad.
Yeah, no, it'd be nice to have. And I've looked at the officer grants.
Speed is really one of the biggest things. When I turn left into my business, granted, I'm not in the city anymore, but I've had to take off because I've heard the squealing tires behind me.
Mhm.
And then they go into the gravel and they almost hit that garage sale thing there. But I've had to do that before myself to keep from getting rear-ended.
Yeah.
Speed is, I know you don't have a lot of area to do it, but I do have it'd be.
We did address that area right in front of Como because of that dangerous, the trucks coming in and out of there, and MoDOT would not do anything about it.
So they are going to let Como put the sign up.
They are gonna have a sign.
They're
It's
gonna
be
let-
a flashing sign. Is that
From my understanding, yes. Because Como reached out to me and wanted to know what I knew about future plans for the highway. They didn't want to invest a lot of money if the city was going to come in at some point and put a center turn lane in there.
Well, I know everybody talks about signage and more speed limit signs and more stop signs. They're only effective if people follow them.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you guys come in. So I would like to see more enforcement. As you know, that's my background, but I'd like to see more enforcement. Absolutely.
So what do you think about it being on the ballot? And
Absolutely.
Steve?
Yes.
I'm all for it. I mean, the fire department's already so far ahead. I mean, as far as what they're getting on the from the ballots on tax revenue.
And the traffic problem is only going to get worse.
Right, and I'd like to commend the chief. This is amazing. He's
Michael, what do you?
done a lot.
100%.
No, the stuff that you brought, and you've answered my questions. And I agreed.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And we will be putting things like this out and also putting it in the newsletter, trying to prepare for the April ballot.
Yeah, just procedurally, it of course requires an ordinance, and so, Chief and I have been talking about this for some period of time. Next month, December, will be the first reading ordinance, January be the second, and then you have to get it to the county clerk and so forth to get it certified for the ballot, so we just didn't want to blindside anybody, and bring the ordinance full blown to you in December. It is it's something I kind of call a carve out. There's legislation that Chief again worked with Senator Burns together, and it specifically names the village of Sunrise Beach is now being authorized to implement the public safety tax. City attorney will of course have to draw up the ordinance, and there's a few questions about the tax that I'd like him to answer, and so next month we'll give you a kind of more complete report on that part of it.
And you think we'll have the ordinance for next month's meeting?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Jeff?
What I was leaning over to tell Steve is any literature that we're sending out about this ballot measure, I need to review before it goes out.
Oh, okay.
Sure, yeah, we and Chief understands this, of course, but we cannot use public funds to promote this. So we have to be very straight, and we will.
So you're not supposed to kind of advertise it?
You can put out that, we can put out information, which we've done last year because we had that bond issue election. We actually put something in the mail to our voters, which had been reviewed by the city attorney. And we can do the same with this police issue, but we just have to be very factual information.
We like to say you can educate, but you can't advocate.
Right, okay.
So it
Okay.
can't say vote yes.
So we can't say your house is gonna burn down if you don't vote for it.
Right. No. Yeah. So like if you look on the form, it says vote. It doesn't say vote yes.
But I will say, just so you all know, each of you individually are free to advocate for it. just not using city funds. And you can also solicit private parties to, form a campaign committee or whatever
To go around and push for it.
and say vote yes. But you all can't say, you as a board can't say vote yes.
Okay. Good. Public Works, you have anything for us?
Just real quick, we did get some patchwork done on Eaton Road, Beechwood, Porter Mills. As of right now, last readings, we went down from 40 no reads to 20. We're still cleaning up some data and we still may have some meters and stuff out there. In that amount of time, we've already replaced 3 meters and 8 MXUs, trying to get it where we have just a few meters that don't read. There are 4 that don't read, that will not read, that need to be replaced, but they're 2-inch meters and they're expensive, real expensive.
But us not reading them is real expensive for us.
Us going out physically reading them, no, but I'm telling you, yeah, you're talking.
Oh, you go out and you have to manually read them. I see what you're saying. I thought you said they're not.
So there's gonna be those that, unless you want to spend thousands of dollars replacing 2-inch meters, that's pretty much what it's gonna be.
We can talk about that.
Basically, the batteries are dying in them, so once they die, they won't read. And your MXUs are about the same way.
And there's nothing newer that you can replace them with?
Just replace it with a new 2-inch meter.
How old are the meters now? You're talking about.
2 of them are over 12 years old. The rest are right at 10. Then this month we had to replace a lift, well, not the whole station. We had to replace the grinder pumps at 126 Maui. Good thing that one worked out good. Our friend lives there. And then Sullivan Bank had one that went out. So we had to replace that this month. I'm still working on finishing up mapping. There's still a lot of the woods I haven't gotten into yet. Just to be able to check for every leaf valves and other things of that nature. I am still going to class this twice a week. Next month, we're going to try and concentrate on getting everything ready for winter. Our 1 ton is at Dodge right now. It's underneath 7 recalls. Not to mention a few other things that may or may not be wrong with it. So hopefully we'll get that back soon because that is your main box truck. Other than that, we're going to try and set something up so that we can have material for ourselves this winter. A lot of your maps, of course, they said it's going to be a bad winter for the last 10. They're going to get it right one of these days. So, but I would like to try and get that set up so that if we do run into a heavier winter, we will have backup material. That's pretty much all I got, unless somebody's got any questions.
Anybody?
All right,
Do you have anything for us, Sarah?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to remind everyone that we already talked about the election. The election time is upon us, so look out for the publishing dates for the candidacy filings will be published in the Lake Sun paper on November 26th and December 3rd. The filing dates this year are going to be from December 9th, and the closing date will be December 30th. So just keep that as a reminder, but the dates in the paper will be on the 26th and December 3rd.
Steve, you got anything you wanna?
Yeah, just a few things. First of all, thank you for this, passing the resolution with CMRC Group for phase 5. We are excited about it. I did invite Jeff to come tonight, and if you wouldn't mind giving him just a few moments. What we're doing in phase 5, I think the board understands, but we want to deliver water and sewer both at the same time, hopefully, if the Department of Natural Resources will work with us. We want to basically do it as one project. You do have to submit 2 different applications because there's a clean water side and a drinking water side to the Department of Natural Resources. And so, Jeff, would you just kind of maybe take it from there, give the board a little understanding of the procedure?
Yeah,
and what we're
I
trying
am
to do?
interested in hearing about that because I don't understand why they would refuse that.
Yeah, me neither. First of all, thank you all very much for your confidence, and we look forward to working with you again on phase 5. So as Steve mentioned, the process now is an application, which is a 5 or 6 page application we've done before. So we'll be kind of editing the one we did before. We'll be leaning on Aaron and Steve for some of that information. The heavy lifting will be a facility plan, one for the water, one for the sewer. So they're separate documents and then separate applications to both the water side and the drinking water side and the clean water side. So to answer your question, I'm not sure that they've never done it before.
Never said no or never said yes.
So what I would like to do, I mean, and I've had this conversation with the folks at SRF, I would like to be able to, first of all, apply and be on the intended use plan for both the water and the sewer at the same time. That's not unheard of. I mean, I think that can be accomplished. What I would further like to do is have a single contractor, a single point of responsibility, so that they're in there at the same time. You know, they're tearing up the yards. They're responsible for restoring and so forth. So that we have a single contractor in there for communications purposes. I believe we can accomplish that pretty simply as far as DNR is concerned. It'd be seamless on their end. You know, the work would be on our end because we would bid it as to a single award, but for contract A and contract B, one for water and one for sewer. Those would be tracked separately for DNR's accounting purposes. I think we can track that separately, and everything would be, as far as they're concerned, 2 completely separate projects. So
Now, this is not, right now, currently, you're ready to work on enhancing our north plant. What you're referring to is what we're gonna apply for the next phase, which is not gonna happen until 28 or something like that. Does that like double the debt value by doing the water and the sewer at the same time?
well, yeah, essentially it's going to be twice, in rough numbers, twice the total cost for water and sewer. Maybe a little heavier on the sewer side. And we did assist with the cost estimates associated. That's how, that was the information that was provided and when we went to the voters. So we have a rough cost estimate, but that's essentially drawing lines on the paper and total annual fee, number of users and so forth. So the heavier lifting is we're going to be doing a hydraulic model of both your water system and your sewer collection system to ensure that we have capacity and how that will operate with the additional usage on it.
And the meeting you're having, the public hearing you're having on the 18th is just to talk about what you're doing to the plant.
It is. It's an environmental public hearing for the North wastewater plant. So we're talking about, you know, what DNR would like for everyone the public to see is, are there any adverse impacts on the environment? Of course, we're going to be talking about how we're going to be improving the environment with the plant.
Right.
So minimal, you know, any adverse would be if you're going to be taking out any equivalent wetlands or something that the construction would be encroaching upon. Then we
The
would talk
spotted
about
owl
that
or
type of
something
thing.
like that.
Right. In this case, you know, we're limited footprint expansion, and we'll address any of those habitat issues or concerns through the construction contract.
And your meeting 18th is here. You're just gonna do it here.
Yeah.
Questions for him? Anybody?
All right. Thank you all.
And then just a couple other comments on budget, given it was first reading tonight. I don't want to get into great detail. I'll give you a report. I will say the revenues are being projected rather flat. We got our sales tax payment for November on Friday after the board report went out. And I handed out the updated sheet, and it was a good number. And so our sales tax revenues are rallying from that kind of sluggish start this year. However, as you all know, I really like to budget very conservatively, especially revenues. And And so I do anticipate our revenues kind of being more or less flat for the next year. And then as far as expenditures, very lean year. We have one police patrol car in the budget. There's a printer copier for the police department, which is not a critical item, but at least it's in there now. No major expenditures right now for public works. It does remain, we've had some conversations, Andy's been at class a lot. So we may identify a particular need at some point before next month, but right now, again, pretty lean.
What's the copier for?
It would replace the unit he has down at the police department.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, you just got that one.
Yeah, it would be similar to that. It would probably, he's had a little bit of difficulty with it. It'd be a better overall network. He'd be able to sync with ours, which right now he can't do. But that's not a high priority need. We did put in the budget just almost as a placeholder. So, and then as far as other items, employee pay, I'd like to at least do a minimum 3%. I discussed this with Susan. We would like to boost police pay pretty substantially, actually. It is, I think the board's aware. We've done pretty well with pay, but the police pay environment, when you look at us compared to other agencies, we really just have to stay current. We just do. And so I feel strongly about that part of it. As far as benefits, we have an excellent deal on health insurance right now. It renews March 1st of next year. And so we're hoping to get a decent renewal. But of course, there's a lot, there's a lot of talk in the healthcare world that there's been a lot of increases. So I am tentatively budgeting for a large increase in our health insurance spend. The budget does accommodate that, but I hope it doesn't happen. Overall budget is balanced in general fund. I think general fund is really a strength right now. Water sewer continues to be the problem, as you guys have heard me say many times. We're fine in the big picture. However, long term, we're going to have to address the water and sewer side. As you know, we heard last month, once that treatment plant project goes through DNR, we're going to have to do a financial review with the state, and we'll see where that leads. There may be, some recommendation for some sort of minor increase in the short term. I think, any sort of larger increase we can save for somewhat later. By that I mean, right now I'm not budgeting for anything in 26, just to be clear. So I really do believe we can probably, wait a little bit longer for any sort of rate increases, but it's inevitable. It's going to happen.
And I don't know if the rest of the board knows this or not, but DNR can kind of tell us we have to raise the rates. So whether we want to or not, if they look at our debt versus our income. So.
And I'm going to play defense against that. I've said that before, and I really am, because, we have a 1.2 million in loan that is in the phase 4 project, the treatment plant project. And we can, I just know we can handle that through existing revenues. It will be a stretch, it'll push our budgets, but, if NDNR sees it differently, I'm going to fight them on that, because I truly believe that we can fund that. It's really kind of almost the next phase that worries me. And then the other concern is, we are using a lot of our capital improvement sales tax money to retire the debt service. And that's really the thing that you just can't have long term, because then you have no money left over for other capital needs like a police car. That's in the budget right now, and it would be paid for with capital improvement sales tax money. So that's kind of the basic calculus in the budget, if you will.
So this is your draft, or,
It is, it's,
and when do you
Yeah.
expect us to try to vote on?
well, next month, I mean, the budget starts in January.
Well, we're gonna be voting on next month then.
Sure. No, I know, and, you know, there's, most of the pieces are in place. A lot of the, we're going through, we're getting our QuickBooks aligned with the budget, and we're not there yet, which is, you know, once we get there, the reporting will be much improved. So a lot of the actuals are even missing, or they're a little bit, they can be somewhat unclear, but in any case, yeah, next month will be the second reading. And I'll tell this, if any of you want to come in and talk budget with me, I really enjoy it, and I think it's important, you know, obviously, that you guys understand our finances, so I'm happy to brief any of you individually on it as well.
Steve, you mentioned last time, I think we were talking about the budget, we had a few delinquent sales tax. Did that get resolved?
Yes, and one is actually the subject of the closed session later tonight. However, yes, we picked up 1, 2, 3. 3 have been resolved without question. One of the main ones appears to be resolved. I don't have confirmation from the Department of Revenue yet, but it looks like this particular business has changed hands, and I think that we're going to get back on track. And then there's one other.
Thank you.
There is one question I did notice in the budget, the pay structure for all of our city employees. And you were talking about the PD making some increases. Would it behoove us to put incentives into these pay grades for education?
That's one thing I'm bringing up next year.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, if you had an incentive for a new officer to get hired, will you finish your probationary period or a year or whatever, then you receive a bonus for that period. And then set up a program for, you know, whatever level of education, whether it's a bachelor's, master's, you know, associates, whatever, or that's an incentive for them to further their education in that field.
We do have built into the rank system, the PO 1, 2, 3, that to get to PO 2 and PO 3 and PO 4 rank, you have to have not a degree, but you have to start getting more specified advanced training.
Right.
So they do have to go that route also. This year, the budget was a little tight. And one of the things I'm hoping that we can look at doing with the sales tax, if that passes, is look into doing, you know, an education assistance. You know, right now we're starting to see the first year of the new grants and funds that are available to law enforcement that have over 6 years to get potential free bachelor's degree. But a lot of the guys we're hiring don't have 6 years. So once that budget does look better, it is my hope to work with Stephen. We've discussed it before. We both definitely value education and the training in it to, in the future, look at something to help promote that.
Yes. It would honestly be somewhat easy to do. You just have to be clear about it and how you set it up. But I'd be happy to do it.
Well, I mean, you know, that just doesn't pertain to the police department. I mean, that pertains to ladies and, you know, the city clerks and stuff, public works, everybody, you know, because there's specialized training in every field for everything.
Yes. One last thing, the audit is, I made copies, it's on the dais for you. The actual bound copies didn't come yet from Mary Miles, so once we get those, we'll give you those. Those will be the final. This is for that kind of 9-month period that ended December 31st of 24, so it was almost a year ago. But It's fine, the audit looks fine to me. There's nothing particular of any concern. Our overall net position has improved, which is something I always look at. Revenues versus expenditures were fine. We did go over budget with the street maintenance program, but it was all approved by the board. It's just we never actually amended the budget. So that's something we do need to, this is on me. We have to be a little bit more careful about how we actually manage the budget. But yeah, overall, the audit came back fine. And that's all I got.
Looks like we had a really good October.
Right, and part of what Mr. George had mentioned is reflected in those numbers. So one of those delinquent payers is paying, and so that's part of why that is a big number. Even if you take that out, however, it's still a better number than any previous October. So, the number one thing that's happening is that the new businesses that we brought on at NX over the course of the last year and a half now are really showing up in our numbers. And without those, frankly, I mean, some of the, I think you had mentioned, some of the area communities have seen some flat sales taxes or even a little bit of decline here and there this year compared to last. If we hadn't brought out that new business on, we'd be in the same situation. So, it's my overall strategy always is try to bring in more business activity, avoid raising taxes if at all possible, bring more business in. That's really where you see your revenues come in. And we've been fortunate to do that, and we're looking for the next business. So.
Everybody had a chance to go over the bills, the amended copy.
I make a motion with fair bills.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
We're gonna adjourn and go into closed session.
Motion to close, no open session.
Second. Anybody?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.